everyone, Alexa Dunn here, and today I'm coming at you with 7 misconceptions about traditional publishing that drive me crazy. Brought to you by Reddit. I'm kidding, but I'm not. No, I really did decide to do this because of my favorite sub, as always, art writing on Reddit. It just happens to be the place where I most commonly see rampant misconceptions about traditional publishing, so I'm gonna run through them for you. Debunking some myths right here with Alexa. So, the first one that drives me absolutely crazy is that you have to know someone to get published / to get an agent. Like, the only people who get agents are people who know someone in the biz. Like, their mom, is in a club with someone who knows someone who is an agent, or you live in New York and you work in publishing, so that's the only way that you're gonna get published. And that is just absolutely not true. The beautiful thing about literary agents is they enable people without any connections whatsoever to have an opportunity to get published. That is literally what the slush is for. That is what querying is for. Anyone can query a project, can write a query letter and send it to an agent, and they have a shot at that agent looking at their work and possibly offering representation and then helping them to get a book deal. Because agents, they don't really care who you are or who you know. If you have written a great book, fiction, that is all that matters. In fact, in publishing, when it comes to being an unknown writer, to being a debut, it is to your benefit that you are, I won't say nobody, but that you are an unknown entity. Because then a publisher can take you, the unknown entity, and your beautiful book and craft a brand around you and launch you as a hot debut. That's actually something publishers like to do. Now, connections never hurt, and it's a good idea to get involved in the writing community. You can, through joining Twitter or going to conferences, making friends, you can essentially get to know people. But let me give you some real talk. 95% of the time, those relationships or connections get you butt kiss. Like, honestly, personal referrals to agents, for example, they might get you quicker consideration, sometimes, bump you to the top of the pile, but they're never going to give you representation. An agent still has to like your book, so you still have to be good enough or to the right taste of that agent to get where you want to be. It's not like magic, like, ooh, if I make connections and suck up enough. It's like a one-stop ticket to my dream agent. That's really not how it works. Now, on the flip side, of course there are people who have connections or who have unfair advantages who are going to have an easier time getting a publishing deal, but that is not the same as you have to know someone in order to be traditionally published. I feel that the opposite is true. Because of agents, it's more possible than ever for someone without any connections to write a great book and to get a book deal. Small disclaimer, if you are writing nonfiction, this is all not true. With nonfiction, platform does matter. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to know publishing professionals, but it does mean if you're writing nonfiction that you have to essentially prove that you know what you're talking about. So who you are does matter when it comes to nonfiction, but you can still cold query an agent and get somewhere if you have a great platform and are a good writer. So the second misconception that drives me wackadoodle is that you can only get published if you write perfect, beautiful literary prose, or, crappy vampire novels. But let's focus on the perfect, beautiful literary prose. I hate this misconception because I think that this misconception and, where people just see like gorgeous award-winning literary novels out in the universe, it discourages a lot of writers and it stops a lot of writers from writing books in the first place and pursuing publication. Like they basically tell themselves no before they've even tried, and I just wonder how many great books this has held us back from. So this is an idea, I've covered this in some of my writer myths that I hate video. I love to dispel this notion because I want you, viewer out there, who has a great story to tell, who is a perfectly great writer, but maybe isn't pretty and beautiful and literary, to write. Because there is value in a lot of different writing styles and modes and ways to tell stories. You don't have to be the next great American novelist, Pulitzer Prize winner. I know that's not always for novels. You don't have to be the next big, beautiful thing to write a great book, get an agent, get a book deal, and do really, really well with readers. It's one of the reasons I love YA so much, because I think YA is a marketing category that allows for a much wider variety of writing and storytelling types. And it's one of the reasons I fell in love so hard with YA myself as a writer, because I had told myself for years that I couldn't possibly ever write a book because I was only reading books by either old dead white men or beautiful literary writers in school. And I thought I could never achieve that. So I hate that misconception because I think it holds a lot of people back. But, you know, you can shit on Twilight as much as you want, guys. But that book is what convinced me that I could also get a book published. I didn't like it, but it gave me so much hope. And so the sub-misconception that is not counted as part of the 7 is the misconception that, oh, you can write any crap vomited onto a page, sparkly vampires, and you're gonna get a $500,000 book deal, and that's also not true. But, you know, YA is very complicated, and we'll get into things about markets and trends on another day. So the third misconception is that traditional publishers purposely cheat/screw authors over out of their fair percentage of their work, that they take too much, and that a traditional publishing deal is not in an author's best interest. This is not true. Now, I've covered this basically in my Why I Chose Not to Pursue Self-Publishing video, which I will link below, where I go over my very personal and specific reasons why traditional publishing was the right path for me, and it feeds into this, which is there is so much that a traditional publisher does do and can do for an author that is simply not possible doing it on your own. And a huge, huge, huge part of that is distribution. Publishers are uniquely positioned to get your book physically printed books, and they bear all the costs of printing those books, and printing books is expensive. They get them into distribution channels to get them into the hands of real readers. That means that they are distributed by the major distributors, which bookstores purchase from, that libraries purchase from, because bookstores and libraries can only procure books from these specific distribution resources. It gets them in the hands of teachers and students. They also have departments whose whole job is to get the word out about your book to the right people so that it reaches the right readers. They do a lot of editorial work, they do page setting work, they do design work, they do all of this. Your publisher bears the brunt of the cost of all of this. Authors never pay for this. Money should always flow to the author. And I honestly think that is a fair deal. Now, there are levels of things that your publisher will do for you, right? And that leads me to misconception number 4. 3 and 4 kind of go together. This one drives me crazy because it is the blanket statement people love to make that, well, screw traditional publishing. Even if you get a deal, they're going to do no marketing. You, the author, are going to have to do it all yourself. So you might as well self-publish. No. I'm also going to link you down below to my videos about marketing and traditional publishing, because I dispelled this in that video as well. This is not true. Now, it is true that increasingly a lot of marketing does fall on the shoulders of the author. That is true. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. It's covered in the marketing videos below. But if you get a traditional publishing deal with any reputable, even somewhat established, respected major publisher, any of them, and there's a lot of them. There's the big 5, there's many majors, and there's a lot of excellent smaller publishers and independent publishers. The bare minimum that they're gonna do for you in marketing and publicity, which includes printing ARCs, getting them out to people so that you can get early reviews, sending out your book to review outlets for reviews, submitting you for awards, just managing the sales account, as I mentioned in the previous one with distribution. That bare minimum is more than you, the author, could do on your own in most cases. Publishers are professionals, they know what they're doing, and every title that they buy gets a bare minimum of marketing and publicity. And that bare minimum is often invisible. You can't see it. Not all marketing is consumer marketing, but there are many forms of marketing and publicity that are incredibly valuable that traditional publishing can offer. So I don't like this blanket statement. It is a misconception because you're going to get some marketing. You are not better off just doing it on your own. But you should be aware that consumer marketing is never guaranteed and that there are different levels of marketing that you may or may not get from a traditional publisher. Misconception number 5. Well, everyone can get a 6-figure deal when they get a book deal. We all get 6-figure deals, and when you get that 6-figure deal, you can totally quit your day job. No. Gonna link you down below to a couple of videos on publishing and money, including an entire video called Don't Quit Your Day Job. This misconception, I see it from a lot of people, and it can be really, really damaging. Now, if you are on the other side, if you are an author who has gotten a book deal, this one probably annoys you too, because your family thinks, and probably your work colleagues at your day job, oh, you got a book deal, bye. And you're like, no, I have to pay rent. Please don't think that I'm gonna quit my job, and please don't ask me for money because you think I'm rich. I am not rich. Books don't really pay, guys. This is a huge misconception. So first of all, 6-figure deals are rare. They are not that common. Now, they are the most promoted. When someone gets a 6-figure deal, they trumpet it. They shout it from the mountaintop. It's reported, it's more likely to be reported in the magazines or newspapers. You know, it's a buzzy thing to say, ooh, 6-figure deal, $500,000 deal, what have you. That said, $500,000 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Even after you break down the advances, which I have a video for that. But 6-figure deals are really, really rare. And even if you get one, if it's on the lower end, or if you get a high 5-figure deal, which is still a very good advance, after taxes and on the payment schedule, it is not as much money as you think it is. It is incredibly difficult to make a living and sustain yourself full-time off of writing books. This is a misconception that I think gives people really unrealistic expectations, especially how long it can take to write a publishable novel and then get paid. Writing novels is never a quick fix. It is never a get-rich-quick scheme, and if you don't love the writing and if you're not in it for that, while you should of course get paid for your art, if you don't love the art for the sake of the art, you're going to be bitterly disappointed in publishing and the money-making side of things. Misconception number 6. This one actually breaks my heart on a regular basis, and that is, oh, I'm just gonna self-publish my book, see how it does, and then I can use that to get a traditional book deal. This hurts my soul and breaks my heart because it is not true, and authors who do this and believe this are shooting themselves in the foot, and they're really hurting themselves. You should never self-publish as a shortcut to traditional publishing. If you elect to self-publish, if you want to self-publish because you love what self-publishing can do for you and the freedom that it gives you and the way that you can wear all of the hats, and you're publishing something that doesn't really have a foothold in traditional publishing, but it does really well in indie, and indie is the right choice for you as an author, and you are committed to self-publishing as a longer-term goal. Self-publishing should be a long game, not a short game. And so the reason it breaks my heart is that if you throw up your book, if you self-publish it, let's say you self-publish your YA novel, what you're hoping will happen, your let's see how it does, is, oh, I'll sell several thousand copies. And then I'll query agents and say, this book has done really, really well on Amazon. Please represent me, and let's sell this to a large publisher. And that's not going to happen, because the sad reality is, first of all, once you've published something, you have thrown away the first rights of publication. And typically when a large traditional publisher is buying a book, they are buying the first rights of publication to your book. They're not going to want a book that has already been self-published. Also because what seems like a lot of sales to you, if you sell a couple thousand copies, that's great. That is a drop in the bucket to traditional publishing. To them, that is selling okay. And most self-published books sell 100 copies or less. Most self-published books don't break through. To impress a traditional publisher and possibly get a traditional book deal, you have to sell hundreds of thousands of copies. And at that point, why would you traditionally publish? You're making, really good money off of self-publishing at that point, and it's probably best to stay self-publishing. So it's a misconception that kills me because authors who mean really, really well throw away their chances on a book by self-publishing poorly without doing their research and their due diligence, and then they throw away their shot on that book for traditional publishing. With a lot of agents, any book that has been self-published, unless it has those magical hundreds of thousands or more numbers, it's an automatic no. And this brings me to misconception number 7, which is self-publishing is easier. No, it is not. This is the part where I basically pull out a banner and pop confetti and really give my brothers and sisters who are doing self-publishing the biggest of thumbs up. Self-publishing is not easy. Self-publishing is really, really, really hard. I think that self-publishing and traditional publishing are both hard for different reasons. Traditional publishing is hard because so much of it is out of your control, which is maddening for a lot of people. So much of it is market-driven and trend-driven, and it takes a really long time, and you are only paid, a certain fraction, and you're not always paid what you're worth, and traditional publishing is hard, but self-publishing is hard in a completely different way. Self-publishing is hard because you basically have to start your own publishing company. Essentially, it's a self-publishing company, but there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of hats to wear. There's stuff to learn if you don't already know how to do those things. There's things that you have to outsource. You have to hire qualified people to do those things for you so that you can put out the best possible product. And then when you do that, making sure you've content edits and copy edits and good page setting, and you've paid for a really good cover with good eye-catching design, then you have to market all of it. The cover, of course, being part of marketing, but marketing is really, really, really hard. You can pour a ton of effort into marketing publicity, and this happens at traditional publishers too. You can pour all of your heart and your soul and your resources, including your money, into marketing publicity, and it can be meaningless. The consumer market is unpredictable and maddening. You never know what's going to catch on, and before you say anything, no, that doesn't mean you should just throw stuff up there and not bother to market at all. It's better to do something than to do nothing. You throw enough spaghetti at the wall, something will probably stick, and you'll at least do better than you would do if you didn't do any marketing. But that is to say, self-publishing is not an easier option. It is a specific choice that you have to make after doing a lot of research into what you want from your career, what you are capable of doing, what you can afford to do. And also, I mentioned this again in my why I didn't choose self-publishing video, you also have to know yourself as an author and be able to essentially fit the mold. Those who do the best in self-publishing, first of all, they write in genres that do very, very, very well in indie publishing. There are some that do better than others, and you should do your research, but also they write fast well, they write tropes that people want to read, they write them well, and they churn out a lot of work in a short period of time. One of the reasons I didn't do self-publishing is I am a slow writer. I am not best suited to self-publishing, so again, self-publishing is not always easier. It shouldn't be your fallback, is what I'm meaning to say. It is a legitimate publishing avenue that you should put serious thought into. So, those are just 7 misconceptions about traditional publishing that clearly dovetail with self-publishing that drive me bonkers What are some of yours? What are the things that you see people saying on Reddit or Twitter or at, your family barbecue about traditional publishing that drive you wacky, that really bug you? Let's talk about it down below in the comments. And you might just remind me of some more misconceptions that really bother me, and maybe I'll make another video. I feel like I could just rant about this forever. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. It lets me know that you like it when I list things and rant about feelings, and I honestly really enjoy making these videos, so if you enjoy watching them, give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already. I post new videos 2 to 3 times a week all about publishing, mostly and specifically traditional publishing, YA, writing craft, and the industry. As always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you for watching and commenting and liking and interacting. And as always, happy writing, everyone.